Today in crypto, if we zoom out to the bigger time frames, we can see that Bitcoin has actually had a textbook perfect breakout, leaving the market looking very bullish overall. Ethereum has also hit some new all-time highs for transactions, and I have a super cool DeFi project called Fortube to share with you. And also there has been a damning report about the global banking cartels and the incredible scope of their relentless criminality, which has come to light, and it's serving as what I think is a very sobering reminder why we need Bitcoin and why we need a better system. My name is Lark, and this is where you subscribe for all of the hottest and all of the latest happening out here in the wild land of crypto. So let's start off by talking about the price of Bitcoin. And I want to start by sharing what is probably one of the most interesting and important charts in Bitcoin right now, the Bitcoin monthly chart. It's just so clean. It's just so beautiful. We had a 2-year downtrend for Bitcoin. Of course, really the entire cryptocurrency market. Then in July, we finally got that definitive breakout moment with a strong green candle that blasted us beyond that stubborn line of resistance that had been holding the market down for such a long time. And then what happened was very interesting, because after the breakout, we actually came back down to retest that line with what was previously resistance and to flip it into support. Now this is technically a very strong move, and to see it playing out on a bigger time frame like this, I think really speaks a lot about the strength of the cryptocurrency markets right now. There's also another way we can look at some of this price action that really reinforces the strength of the market narrative. So we can look here at the weekly for Bitcoin. We can see the area around $10,000 to $10,500. That zone was a very strong area of resistance for about a year for Bitcoin. Then we finally had that breakout, crushing that resistance. And of course, that breakout was followed by a retest of that area for support, which is what we just had. Now, this would indicate that we could be heading for much higher highs in the coming months. Now, that leaves us with 4 big areas of resistance to smash moving forward if that does happen: 12,500, 14,000, 17,000, and of course, 20,000. In order to finally crush $20,000, we need to see Bitcoin surge by another 83%. It is possible, not the most likely scenario, but it is possible that could happen before the end of the year. Now, for some perspective, we are up 183% since the March crash. So yes, this could indeed happen. 83% for Bitcoin sounds crazy, but it's really not that crazy. But Lark, it's a $200 billion market cap. It's so big. You might ask, well, where's all that money going to come from? Look, Bitcoin's a baby. It's just a baby. $200 billion is like 1/10 of the market cap of Apple, 1/50th of the total market cap of gold. And while we like to make a big deal anytime someone in power pays attention to Bitcoin, I liked this take from macro investor Dan Tapiero. He said $200 billion is too small to even matter for macro authorities. Gold is $12 trillion and no one really cares. Bitcoin has clearance up to at least $250,000, 25x before big boy global macro authorities start caring that Bitcoin even exists. That's an interesting take. And look, here's the straight dope, guys. There is so much opportunity right now in the cryptocurrency markets. We are only seeing really the first users come in, early iterations still of technology. And I know sometimes it feels like we're so far in, but we're really not. We're so far away from mainstream adoption still. Most investors are still sleeping on Bitcoin. Yeah, okay, sure. We got Paul Tudor Jones. We got MicroStrategy. They both bought Bitcoin. But they are exceptions, not the rule yet. They are big deals because they are the early movers in their fields. So if you bought Bitcoin before March of this year, then guess what? You beat both the legendary investor Paul Tudor Jones, and you beat also the much applauded MicroStrategy. You were smarter than these big players. You were early. If you bought Bitcoin yesterday, you're still early. Remember that. People buying Bitcoin today will be handsomely rewarded in the years to come because more companies, more hedge funds, more big investors, more small investors, everyone is coming, and we are still early. And yes, of course, altcoin investors are going to be making plenty of money as well. In fact, a lot of altcoins will likely outpace Bitcoin on shorter time frames by many magnitudes. Anyway, let's get on to the news. The total amount of Ethereum locked in DeFi has absolutely exploded since the Uniswap liquidity pools opened up for farming. There are now 7.9 million Ethereum locked up into DeFi, nearly doubling since just last week. There is a serious demand from farmers to get their hands on those sweet, sweet Uniswap tokens. But it is not just Ethereum that's getting in on the yield farming party here. No. Another 15,000 Bitcoin is actually wrapped up in the last few days and plowed into Uniswap to farm those Uni tokens, chasing that yield in the Uniswap pools. In other Ethereum news, the total number of daily transactions on Ethereum hit a peak late last week at more than 1.4 million transactions during all the Uniswap token claim craziness that was going on. But really since July, we've been averaging above 1 million transactions a day. And while we did have a lot of transactions back during the 2017 bull run, it was quite a short-lived moment. We have now been higher for longer as an average, which means that Ethereum is just seeing record use with all of this DeFi stuff going on. But of course, Ethereum is still struggling with scaling, and with the increase in transactions has come a big increase in fees, sometimes painfully big increases in fees, especially to actually use some of these DeFi protocols. So we've of course been talking a lot about Ethereum and it's just crazy gas fees recently. And in response to this, we have actually seen a few new cryptos launching DeFi applications on other blockchains. Now, one very interesting crypto that I want to share with you today, which is running on the Binance Smart Chain, is called Fortube, who is sponsoring today's video. Now, Fortube is a leading DeFi lending platform, which has been launched by the guys who launched the Force protocol, which is actually an Ethereum-based decentralized application, but has now also integrated the Binance Smart Chain, which is of course enabled with smart contracts, allowing for all kinds of fun DeFi stuff to happen. And of course, by using the Binance Smart Chain, they're able to dramatically reduce the fees required for contract interactions. Fortube was able to run their DeFi application with gas fees only costing a few cents per transaction instead of like $50 per transaction on Ethereum. Non-Ethereum based DeFi is likely going to be the next big thing in crypto. So getting in now, using these platforms, using these applications, makes you an early adopter. Fortube was one of the first 5 DeFi applications launched on the new Binance chain. Their decentralized lending protocol allows users to deposit tokens to earn interest, to pledge, and to borrow tokens to pay interest. Fortube currently supports more than 20 different mainstream cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Ethereum, all as a BEP20 format, which is basically a fancy term for saying Binance Smart Chain tokens, so tokenized Litecoin, tokenized Ethereum, all that stuff. To start earning rewards, you simply need to deposit tokens into Fortube. And Fortube is running a massive liquidity incentivizer program right now with 100 million FOR tokens being given out as rewards to liquidity providers. And there will be 100,000 FOR a day dropped to Burger Swap liquidity providers on Binance Smart Chain as well. By the way, the FOR token, it is a governance token that also gives you rights to a share of the fees that are generated by the platform. So it could be a nice little money earner if you are farming it. Oh, and one final note, we all know that the DeFi applications can have so many different risks, including, of course, smart contract risks. We've seen a lot of high-profile exploits this year. But Fortube has actually enlisted the industry leader Certic to provide 24-hour-a-day security auditing on Fortube's smart contract, which is basically the best practices in terms of bringing in an industry leader to help with their security by providing real-time security data. So if you do want to try out some yield farming without paying crazy fees, then I'll leave a link down below in the description for Fortube, and you can go there, try it out, play around with the Binance Smart Chain, and of course, start earning some yield on Fortube. And the final story for today, secret U.S. government documents have revealed that JP Morgan, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Deutsche Bank, and Bank of New York Mellon have all been laundering trillions of dollars for some of the worst criminals on the planet. Mobsters, fraudsters, terrorists, corrupt governments the world over have been using these banks for years. Now, to an extent, we've known a lot of this stuff. They've actually been slapped with fines for doing a lot of this stuff before, but it just keeps going on and it keeps continuing. And the deeper you dig, the more criminality turns up, and it just never stops. More than $2 trillion was funneled through these banks. Deutsche was the worst at $1.3 trillion. JP Morgan was number 2 with $500 billion laundered for the worst criminals on the planet, by the worst criminals on the planet. I see you, Jamie Dimon. I see you. Look, what's also interesting about this document leak is that U.S. regulators had compiled a list of more than 2,000 violations, and yet they have not yet prosecuted a single banker. No bankers have gone to jail. Nope, they're not going to either. And more shocking yet is that these 2,000 violations, accounting for more than $2 trillion in criminal activity by the banks, accounts for only around 0.02% of the total reported suspicious activity. That's insanity. The leaked documents reveal banks just basically blindly moving cash through their accounts for people they cannot verify the identity of, for habitually and consistently failing to report transactions with all the hallmarks of money laundering until years after the fact, if at all. And even doing business with clients basically just entangled in some of the worst financial frauds and public corruption scandals. The banks just don't care. If you're rich and you can get the money to them, they'll help you launder it. It's insanity. Just remember how they treat rich criminals. The next time you need to do KYC for something, or your bank says you can't buy Bitcoin because it might be used by criminals. Come on, banks. What the heck, man? Also, this really puts to bed the whole crypto's used for criminals and money launderers BS. Less than 1% of cryptocurrency transactions can be linked to criminal activity, but just the amount of criminality linked to dollars and euros and yen, it's like $1 quadrillion worth of fiat can be linked to the banks and their criminal buddies and all their money laundering and fraudulent schemes. It's insanity. And all of it's done with suits and smiles through the marble doors and a nice warm, "Yes, sir, very nice, sir, right this way, sir, we'll launder that money for you." Obviously, we wouldn't want to inconvenience any of these criminal bankers by sending them to jail. That would just be very inconvenient for them and very inconvenient for all the people that they bribe, so they don't have to go to jail. But look, if all this makes you sick, I got good news for you. There's this little orange internet coin called Bitcoin. You can opt out of these corrupt institutions. You can just buy Bitcoin and leave the corrupt system behind. This kind of brazen criminality, it cannot stand. We need a better system. Thankfully, a better system is being built with cryptocurrencies. And yeah, we're not perfect by far, but Bitcoin, it's out there. It's the tip of the spear. There's all kinds of stuff coming behind Bitcoin as well, and it's all very, very exciting. Anyway, those are just my 2 Satoshis. Your question for today: which blockchain do you see stepping up to jump into Ethereum's shoes, with Ethereum fees just going out of control recently and really pricing out a lot of small people? Which blockchain do you think is going to really step up to the plate here and start taking a big piece of the market share? Is it Polkadot? Is it Cardano? Is it Binance? Is it Tron? Is it Waves? Is it Ontology? Is it Neo? Let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.